الو 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 طلع اكسترنال وهذه الو خلص كم الليفل معطينا ماينس 18 خليه اقل اكثر ولا اقل الو الو
ماينس 21 يعني خليه تطلع
تمام. كيفك؟ شو اخبارك؟
على راسك.
بس بدنا اللي يحكي رح نعطيه المايك هاي استحياطا بس انه يكون معه بس.
السبيكر الاجنبي؟
يس.
ما في غيره، في بي بي اس وفي مش بي بي اس.
يعني كل حدا يصير بس يعطيه لحدا اللي بعديه، بس احنا احتياط. ما انا ما بعرف ايش رح يصير معي.
لا معاك. كم جيت ابكر؟
احنا من زمان.
لا على موضوع هاي بدك تشوف مين.
طيب اسمع.
لانه زلمه اجى عمل
كلهم راح يكون ما حدا راح يتخبط.
لا اللي بيسمع اسمه يطلع.
خلص كله على البوديوم، وين راح نطلع؟ راح احطه على البوديوم بس لانه كله راح يكون على البوديوم. تمام؟
وين صرت؟ لا بده يعني
بحكي لك اكثر من حدا.
والله حطه هون. شوي العالم يا. مساء الخير يا جماعة. بس احنا في ناس كثير معلقين بالأزمة. مين واي للناس اللي بدها ترجمة، الهيدسيتس موجودين في البوث عند المترجمين للناس اللي حابين ياخذوا الهيدسيت تبعت الترجمة. وفي لينك اللايف ستريمينج موجود على اكونت ست ميري. اذا في مجال نفوت عندها انستغرام، لينكد ان، فيسبوك، ونعمل شير لللينك تبع لايف ستريمينج عشان نقدر نوصل لكثير ناس يشوفوا هالايفنت. فراح نكون معكم كمان شوي بس لتوصل العالم ونرجع نبلش.
One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, yes. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. More pitch. More pitch. More pitch. Less space, less space. Less space, less space. Okay. More pitch. Pitch, pitch, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that's better. That's better. There is echo in the room. So maybe we keep the volume as low as possible. 1, 2, 3, that's better. 1, 2, 3, even lower. 1, 2, 3, I think that's fine. That's good, tamam. I know. Now you can take me off.
بدنا نذكر للجماعة اللي محتاجين ترجمة، الديفايسز موجودة عند مدخل القاعة، فاللي بحب يسمع الترجمة ممكن يتوجه للطاولات وياخذ الديفايس تبع الترجمة. بدنا نرجع نذكر انه نعمل شير لللينك تبع لايف ستريمينج موجود على صفحة مزاج واللاند مارك والاكاونتس تبعون ميري. فبليز نفوت عندهم ونعمل شير لللينك عشان نقدر نوصل لأكبر عدد ممكن من الناس على اللايف ستريمينج. مساء الخير جميعا. احنا اسفين على التاخير اللي صار، بس كان عندنا تكنيكال ايشوز وهلا تصلحت. لو تكرمتوا بدنا بس دقيقة صمت على روح الشهداء في غزة وفلسطين وجميع شهداء الوطن العربي. شكرا. طيب يا جماعة، محتاجين كمان دعمكم. بدي أذكر كمان مرة إنه نضلنا نشير اللينك تبع اللايف ستريمينج ليوصل لأكبر عدد. قبل ما يطلع الدكتور على الستيج بدنا نذكر إنه نحط موبايلاتنا سايلنت بليز، موبايلاتنا سايلنت. اللي عنده أسئلة راح يكون في أسئلة أول ما يخلص الدكتور، راح نسمع أسئلتكم جميعا ونجاوب عليها. بالنسبة لأجهزة الترجمة موجودة على البوث أول ما نفوت من الباب، اللي حابب يكون عنده جهاز ترجمة موجود. وشكرا لكل حدا اجى، وزي ما حكينا ادعمونا بالشير، يعني هذا أهم شيء ممكن تعملوه هلا. وراح نستقبل هلا مدام ميري على الستيج لتحكي لكم أكثر على الإيفنت وعن الدكتور. تفضلي.
Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry we're starting late, but you know how people are here. And I wasn't going to speak, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming. I know it's not easy. I think some of us have a hard time even just getting out of bed. So thank you for coming. I want to thank Landmark. We literally pulled this off like in a day. So thank you, Baha. Thank you, Khulud. Thank you, everybody. We also got screens donated, translation donated, translators, volunteers. Thank you to everyone who just came and said, you know, what can we do? Thank you, Abed, for being here also. Thank you, Tariq Abu Lughod. Thank you, Arab Media Network. I just want to tell you how this whole thing happens, and then, of course, we're going to hear from Mads. Basically, Mads called me, I think it was a day and a half ago. I was in a meeting about another event I'm doing next week about media. If anyone's interested, I have flyers about that. And he said, I'm stuck in Cairo, can I come? And I said, of course, come. While he was on the plane, I said, we need to do an event. You know, there's so much information, drowning in information. We don't know what's happening. We don't really know what the needs are. So I said, who best can we hear from other than Dr. Mads, who knows what's going on? So we can learn. Thank you. I said, we can hear from him, and then we can really understand the situation and know best how to mobilize our resources based on the urgent medical needs on the ground. And then the other thing I was thinking is we have gone through a month of collective grief. And I know it's nothing like our brothers and sisters in Palestine, of course, but the energy here, I mean, we're all having a really hard time because we're seeing things that we should never see. We're seeing things that should never happen. So it's not even psychologically, we can't even handle this stuff. So I'm feeling, you know, we have this collective grief. And then I thought, what if we take that collective grief and turn it into a collective power? Why don't we all meet up as a community rather than staying on our phones and sharing stories? And that's important. But what if we come together and you talk to the person next to you and you say, what are you doing for Palestine? What are you doing for Palestine? What can we all do for Palestine? And then we take that collective brief and we make power. And we come up with a plan. This is the first time we've ever been united. Do you know how many times I've done events for Palestine? This is the first time I need tissue boxes. Like, things are changing. Guys, it's time for us to really envision what could freedom mean. What does it look like? We don't even know what it looks like. What does justice look like? We have to feel it. We have to believe that it's a possibility. And then how do we get there? How do we get there together? We've never had a plan. We've never ever had a plan. Let's put a plan together. The only reason this is happening the genocide in Palestine is because we've never been organized. Let us organize. So, I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. Okay. So, I'm not going to introduce Mads from his bio. He's my friend. We've done so many events together. We did an event here 12 years ago. I was pregnant with one of my kids. We shut down the city. We've done stuff at Harvard. You're my comrade. You're my inspiration. Listen, thank you. Thank you for doing what we can't do. Please, everyone, welcome Dr. Mads Gilbert.
Salam alaikum. Shukran jazilan Mari. Shukran jazilan kullu. As you know, I speak fluent Arabic, and I add bukra fil mishmish. We have to laugh in between because these days and weeks are so dark that you feel you want to take the place of the martyrs because it's so much death, misery, and injustice, it's unbearable. I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank Mari, my comrade in arms through many years. I want to thank Aysar, my comrade in arms through many years. I want to thank the staff at Landmark. And I want to thank all of you good people who have come here tonight, not to sit and listen, but to find out how can you be a person of solidarity? How can you be a force? How can you be an energy of change? Because when you leave out here tonight, there is a risk that Shifa Hospital is coming to a complete standstill. And there is a risk tomorrow that we will see the Israeli attack army wipe out hospitals in Gaza. And I'm going to update you, and I'm going to be hard on you. And I will have a hard time not starting to cry because things are worse than they have ever been. This is for all of you. This is your take-home notebook. This is the last flash update from the United Nations Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the OCHA. It's from yesterday. It has all the numbers you need. It has all the facts you need on one page. I want you to learn these numbers by heart. Not all of them, because they change as the hours pass by. And since the Israelis are killing 138 children per day, on an average, they will change. But the key facts are here. On the flip side, you can take notes from what I'm saying. Because you need this, because now you are going to be an activist. Many of you are already activists. And when we leave tonight, I'm going to ask you to shout or to say or to speak up. What I have on my t-shirt, this is the back of my t-shirt that I've been carrying for the last 2 years. Kuluna Gaza. Tamam? Kuluna Gaza. So, first of all, I want to pay tribute to my brothers and sisters, the health workers in Gaza. Not because I don't see all the volunteers, not because I don't see all the civil servants, not because I don't see all the women looking after their kids and all the neighbors when the Israelis have bombed yet another apartment building. No, because these, to me now, right now, are the ones carrying maybe the toughest burden of all. And I've been with these people for the last better part of 17 years. I was in Gaza during the attack in 2006, in 2009, in 2012, and in 2014. These are my brothers and sisters. This picture we took in July 2014 during a so-called lull in the bombing. And these are brilliant people. Dr. Sara Al-Saka, the first female surgeon of Palestine from Gaza. And she just yesterday received her final exams from the British College of Surgeons. Applause for Sara Al-Saka. This is Marwan Abu Sada. He is the most powerful surgeon that I have ever met. He's the one who does the triage, the sorting at the entrance to Shifa when the loads of patients are coming in. He says, right or left, life or death, surgery or no surgery. He is now the head of the International Cooperation Department and Minister of Health. He's just a magnificent man and a great surgeon. And he is one of the pillars of healthcare in Gaza now, never leaving his patients. This is Dr. Sovis Cake, a British-trained Palestinian surgeon from Gaza. He was the head of Shifa Hospital for many years. He was my boss during the attack in 2009 and 2014. He's a fierce surgeon. He's one of the best, if not the very best leader I ever had. He retired, but he didn't want to retire. So he became the first medical leader of the new Gaza Cancer Center. I will come back to that. He is extremely firm. His daughter, Nashwa, finished medical school in Al-Azhar University. She's now a hand-picked consultant in WHO in Geneva. He was nearly killed when the Israelis bombed the cancer hospital. And then there are the young doctors, the nurses, everyone. And the point about this picture is the beauty of the people. Their smiles, their never ever resolute power to stand by their patients. And I use this picture in every lecture I give, and I say, these are the heroes. These are the heroes. Palestine's because so often the white man is the hero. The white man coming on a 2-week visit, taking selfies and going home and raising money for the organization. Too much of international relief industry is based on colonial attitudes. We are the ones who can do it. But these are the heroes. These are the ones who have their shoes on. They are the ones who are standing in the fog of blood and doing the work night and day. My heroes. And the people of Gaza and all the volunteers never giving up. True heroism and true moral greatness. I'll come back to that. And the local Palestinian staff, they never give up. They never give in. They never leave their patients and their people. I took this picture on an early morning in 2014. We were so exhausted. We had been working all night. It was after the Seshaya massacre. We had 400 patients coming to Shifa. It was Ramadan. We were fasting. I'm not a Muslim, but of course I fasted with my brothers and sisters. And look at their faces. He can barely speak, and he cannot but smile to me because he knows how tired I am. So he says to me, my brother says to me, Dr. Mads, we will be okay. And they are the ones now, if they are alive, inshallah, I hope, that are carrying the burdens on with maintaining healthcare in Gaza. And you've all seen the pictures. You've seen how they attack the hospitals. They attack the ambulances. Today, I got a message from ICRC, the International Red Cross association, reporting that Israeli attack forces had bombed a convoy of relief coming all the way to Shifa with all the international marks and coordination, with relief from Rafah up to Shifa. They even bombed that. And they bomb ambulances and they bomb everything. And Shifa, Mustashfa al-Quds, Mustashfa al-Akhli Arab, Mustashfa al-Aqsa, all of them, Rantisi, Nasser, they're filled up and they don't give up. They're filled up and they don't give up. As long as there is a single square inch, the patients are taken in. Nobody is rejected. Nobody is said to go to another hospital. They're all embraced by love, respect, and solidarity. But I tell you, you need to know. We need to know the facts. We need to know the realities. We need to discuss the history of Palestine and the occupation of Palestine. Because we cannot let it happen again. That mass murder passes while we are sleepily watching television or turning our back to those who are prosecuted and are victims of racism and killing. We have to stand up, not only for ourselves, but for our kids and our grandkids, because we don't want this world. We don't want a world where power equals right. We want a world where fairness, where rules of engagement, where the Geneva Convention, where the Declaration of Human Rights is prevailing. Israel is destroying the trust in the world now. Israel is shattering whatever we managed to build of trust between white and black and brown and yellow people. The trust we managed to build because we believed that after the Second World War, there will be some sort of international order. You need to know. You need to know the numbers, you need to know the realities. I'm a medical doctor, I'm specializing in anesthesiology, I'm an emergency physician. This year, I've been a doctor for 50 years. I'm starting to smell, I feel. I work in the northernmost university hospital in the world, in northern Norway, in Tromsø. Can you hear me okay? Is it, my language is okay? Tamam. So that's where I have my work. When I'm sent or when I travel to Gaza, which I do every time there is bombing, I am getting a leave from my hospital director, so I am on call in Gaza. I'm on call tonight. I'm on call, I'm paid by my hospital, and the hospital considers this, my activities here, as part of my medical duties, because we want to be an international solidarity hospital. So that's why I'm here, because I come on behalf of all my colleagues who all support me and say, go to Gaza on behalf of all of us. And I'm traveling now with the small Norwegian NGO called Norwegian Aid Committee, NORWAC, which we founded in 1983. After we were kicked out of Beirut. That's another story. And we're supported by the Norwegian Minister of Foreign Affairs. We got $1 million. We've used all that money to buy medical equipment for Gaza. And we came on the third day of the attacks, so it's almost 4 weeks ago. And we've been waiting in Cairo for all that time to try to be permitted to travel through Sinai up to Rafah and get into Gaza. But the Israelis are controlling all the borders, everything. Nobody gets in. No persons, no help, only some ridiculous amounts, and nobody gets out. So it is a complete siege of Gaza. It's completely sealed off, and it has been completely sealed off for 4 weeks. On top of the 16 years of siege. I'll come back to that. I'll go through the numbers from the last report from Minister of Health in Gaza. But first, and now I have to bite my lips, because I'm going to tell you about a phone call I got from my friend and my colleague and my brother, Minister of Health, Dr. Youssef Abu al-Rish from Gaza. He called me when I was preparing this lecture, and his voice was different from all I have heard through the years. I've known him and worked with him and talked with him on the phone and been to meetings. His voice no longer had control. he said to me, and he said it 3 times, there is no time, Dr. Mats. There is no time. Time has run out. We are going to die now. And he is a man of great strength, of great leadership, of immense power. He's a strong believer. He is a fantastic medical doctor. I look up to him. He's a pediatrician, and he's been the Minister of Health in Gaza for the last 12 years. And he said he's done a fantastic job. He stands tall. But today he called me and he said, now we have reached a point where I think that it all will break down. So it couldn't be more productive for me to use this evening. The best way I could use it would be to talk to you, because I want you to have the same feeling of urgency that he conveyed to me. Because now we've been talking for 4 weeks, so and so, these are the numbers, no water, no electricity, blah, blah, but they will manage. But now it's come to a point where everything is at the brink of collapsing. Dr. Youssef is a beautiful human being, but I have to warn you, he's Hamas. He's Hamas. Wow. Come on. How can you applaud someone from Hamas? They are Yalla. I'm standing next to a Hamas child. And I say that with the greatest seriousness, because in 2009, when I was in Gaza with Dr. Erik, we wrote a book called Ice in Gaza. Dr. Erik, my comrade in arms, the surgeon in the team, he was called by the German magazine Der Spiegel. And there had been a bombardment of the Fakura school, which is a UN school, and they killed, I think it was 57 children in that one attack. And this journalist in Der Spiegel had called the Israeli spokesperson and said, why did you attack this school? And the spokesperson said, it was a hideout for Hamas and they were shooting rockets and all that, which was not true, by the way, because the rocket launcher had left immediately. And then the journalist says, but why did you bomb it in the middle of the break at noon when the kids were out playing in the street? Why did you do it exactly at that time? And the spokesperson said, well, you know, they were only Hamas children. It's documented. We have it in the book. This is one of the millions of families in Gaza who are now in the great darkness. And I don't use the word Hamas. I don't support Hamas, I don't support Fatah, I don't support Jihad, I don't support PFLP. I and the Norwegian Solidarity Movement, we support the Palestinian people and their right to resist occupation. And we support their right to choose their leaders as they see them fit, even to make stupid choices that people do in certain elections. And I'd like to remind you that the election in Palestine in 2006 was performed excellently according to the international observers. It was the first democratic election in an Arab country, and Hamas won a landslide victory, as you know. They made a coalition government, a union government with Fatah, with PLO, and they made a national coalition government. It was recognized by Norway and Russia and some few other countries, and within 2 weeks it was shut down. There was siege, there was economic blockade, and the division between the Palestinians was again provoked by the Israelis, who wants the Palestinians to be divided. Hamas, to me, is just another expression of Palestinian resistance. So the reason why I don't use the word Hamas, I respect them, I disagree in many ways, and make no mistake, I'm against any terror against civilians, be it from Israel, from the Palestinians, from the Iraqi, from the Americans, from the Norwegians, anybody. Nobody should touch the civilians. If they do, they should be prosecuted and taken to the International Criminal Court. But the reason why I don't use Hamas is that it has become a label made by Israel and the United States and EU to say, if you are Hamas, you can be killed on the spot with no prosecution. You don't even get imprisoned and have a court trial. You can just kill them because they are something which is unwanted on this earth. No, they're not. They're just a colonized people resisting colonization. They are just a colonized people who says, enough is enough. We will fight you with weapons to free our country, which is also within international law. Any occupied people has the right to fight the occupiers with weapon within, of course, international law. That's what we support in Ukraine. That's where the West is running with weapons and money and political support. Because they say, oh, we support their struggle against occupation. Fine. But sorry, I had a word which I shouldn't say. Where on earth is the support for the just struggle of the Palestinian people against occupation? It's nowhere. Okay. Back to what Dr. Youssef Abarish told me at 18 minutes past 3 this afternoon. We are still surviving, but we're miserable. There is no bread, there is no food, there is no water. There's just essential services in the hospitals. Most of the time, we have no administration to organize this enormously complex disaster because of lack of electricity. Most of our staff have not had a piece of bread in days. Which year was this? I can't remember. Was it 1723? 1223? No, it's 2023. Sometimes you have to wake up and you think, no, it is not medieval times. But yes, it is. This is the result of a man-made massive starvation and thirst. Man-made by the government of Israel, supported by the United States and most of the governments in EU, to starve, to thirst, to bleed, to scare, to chase 2 million people who are innocent, who are civilians, who has the right to be protected. And he continues. We try to have a minimal amount of water to every employee, just half of this bottle. I mean, this bottle in Gaza would be a gift from heaven. Think about that next time you take a cold bottle of water out of your fridge. They don't have clean water. Now the kids are going to the sea to get salt water, to mix with the brackish water, to have something to drink. 2023. A governmental army denying ordinary good people water. Extreme situation. It is so miserable. We continue to provide services, but we have no medicines. We just have to pretend we have medicines. And I say, what can you do for the injured children? Because there are so many, the majority are injured children, many of them burns. And Dr. Youssef says, and I can hear that his voice is thickening, we pray for them. That's what we do. We pray for them. 2023, Shifa Hospital, university class hospital, have nothing to help the wounded. But they don't give up. Even if they don't have the resources we expect to have in a modern hospital, they don't give up. They find space. They put them on the floor. They put 2 or 3 in each bed. They care for them. They give them a blanket. They try to put on some bandages. They comfort them. They look for their parents. They don't give up. They represent humanity, love, and solidarity. The enemy and the occupiers and the attackers, They represent evil, racism, apartheid, and death, and death. So he sent me 3 short videos. And I want us to can we take the lights all out? And we will walk with Dr. Youssef. He walks in Shifa, but you know, the hospitals in Gaza, they have a lot of patients with war wounds. They have a lot of ordinary patients with diabetes, with heart, myocardial infarction, with stroke, all of that. And Shifa alone has 50,000 refugees, internally displaced. Can you imagine a hospital in Amman suddenly having 50,000 persons trying to find shelter and a place to care for your kids and your family? So he sent me this video, 3 short videos. He's walking and he's talking.
Again, it's shameful to have such situation in a hospital while we are talking about 2023.
And you hear the drones, Israeli drones. That was the first. And then with a little more light.
It's catastrophic. Really, it's catastrophic situation. These are the kids. على الأرض مش هصورهم. هصور الممر. And you can, this is the staff who are working while there is no electricity. They are doing their best, but unfortunately they are unable to do anything while this department is full of displaced people. And they are trying, actually they are trying with a very difficult situation, trying to reach the difficult rooms where a lot of cases are inside, and you can see what is going on the ground.
And then the last one.
Just move between the displaced people who are everywhere. I'm trying just to move between the displaced people while even I'm unable. اسمحوا لنا بدنا نضوي الضوء بس وانا ماشي مش هصور حد فيكم بس على الإضاءة عشان I'm just trying for light just to be able to move.
Please no.
Yeah, and you can see the people there everywhere. مش هصور حد هصور الممر. مش هصور وجه حد فقط بدي اصور الممر. That's the story. Again, even those innocent displaced people, even they have no light to see what is going on. A lot of children, women, and this is the obstetric and gynae. And the rest of the hospital again is the same. We are talking about a similar situation everywhere. You can imagine even you are unable to transfer the patients from side to side and from one room to another. This is an example.
And he says,
How is the situation for the patients, Dr. Youssef?
this is from this afternoon.
Miserable. Miserable. I told you, for example, in Shifa Hospital, there is almost 1,000 cases admitted in that hospital, while the initial number of the surgical beds, they are just 300 plus. And now we are managing almost 1,000 cases of the casualties. The staff are completely tired, and some of them evacuated to the south with their families. Some of them because they destroyed their family, their homes, their children, they killed their children, and they are pressurizing them and some of their families and wives, they are transferred to the south. So again, the staff are so limited. A lot of our staff actually, they are pushed to move to the south with their families. For example, some of them said, how can I manage my father and mother? They are old and no one with them, and I have to live with them. My wife injured and my children injured, and how come I can let them go alone? I have to go with them. And unfortunately, they are unable to come back. So they shoot anyone who come back to the north. It's a one-way direction. So even though it's not safe to go from north to south, and sometimes they are shooting some of our staff, it's totally unsafe, and they are targeting directly anyone who's moving from south to north. So any of our staff who can go to the south, they will be unable by anyhow to come back to north.
I understand. It's horrible. How can you manage the children in the hospital?
Which children?
I was the injured children, the burned children.
We are praying for them.
Exactly.
Our best, actually. But actually, we are just praying for them. That's what can we do.
I understand. I am doing.
I recorded this in room 1004 in Landmark Hotel 2 hours ago. It wasn't difficult. He speaks well English. Why did no international newscast talk to Dr. Youssef Abarish, who is the Minister of Health? Why do they only want to talk to the white doctors sitting outside? Why do CNN and BBC and CBS and all of these almost never talk to the Palestinian leaders? Oh, sorry, I can't talk to you because I heard you were Hamas. This is a grave breach of even the role of the media, because they are so biased that they don't even pick up the phone and call Dr. Youssef Abarish, who is a pillar of a leader. He doesn't sit in an office, he walks around. He treats people. He knows what he's talking about. And so far, the Israeli war machine has killed 193 doctors, nurses, and paramedics. And he said there was no bread, and that is true. If you study this one, you can see that UN says that the waiting hours, the average waiting time to get bread is 4 to 6 hours in Gaza. That was 2 days ago, and the World Food Programme said yesterday that Gaza is running out of food reserves within 5 to 6 days. As the world is watching, people are starving, bleeding, and thirsting to death in Gaza. And this is not new. This is not new. This paper is from the very famous British scientific journal, The Lancet. We wrote that in Shifa when we were working during Operation Cast Lead in January. It was published the 17th of January. The day we were replaced by another team, it was published online immediately. And just hours after it was published, one of the most uncharming persons on earth, Mark Regev, the spokesperson for Netanyahu, he shouted that the Lancet should never have published our description of what the situation was in Shifa Hospital, 2009. Because they want to shut the curtains, they want to turn off the light, they want to kill and harass the Palestinians with nobody watching. So this was 2009, and we called the situation in Shifa living hell. If it was living hell in 2009, what on earth shall we say about the situation in Gaza today? Gaza 2023 will make Dante's Inferno look like a tea party. It is hell on earth, brothers and sisters, a few kilometers from here, and we need to stop it. By being active and not allowing it to happen, by standing up, by demonstrating, by writing letters, by writing pieces in the newspaper, by talking to your neighbors, by organizing, by being strong and stand up and not think you cannot do anything. Because we all can. We all can. And my friends, I appreciate the question how, but we have a, okay? Well, we have to put pressure on Israel and the United States. The key to the solution in Gaza is in the White House. It's in the American Congress. It's in the United States and in Europe. Political pressure will work. If they turn off the support for Israel, it will stop within days. Believe me. We'll have a question and answer afterwards. So, before we leave Shifa Hospital, let's just pay tribute to the heroism of these people. Without food, without water, most of the doctors and nurses in Shifa are sick themselves now. They have gastrointestinal infections, vomit, diarrhea, fever, and you know how it is to go to work when you have diarrhea and vomit. And you can imagine with this crowded hospital how it is. But they care for the wounded, they find solutions, and I'd like to correct one of the many rumors that are put out by Hashpara. You know Hashpara? The Israeli propaganda machinery. It is that these animals in Gaza, because the Minister of Defense, the Israeli Minister of Defense, Gallant, he said, we are fighting animals in Gaza, he said on the second day. One of the rumors is that the Palestinian doctors are doing surgery without anesthesia. Of course do they do that. Of course they do. I mean, after all, they are Hamas, aren't they? And you know, Hamas is known to do surgery without anesthesia. It's a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. None of my colleagues in Shifa would ever do major surgery without anesthesia. I have it confirmed. I talked with Dr. Youssef today. Of course we don't do laparotomies, thoracotomies, or cesarean section without anesthesia. Of course not. They have the highest ethical standard. Some minor procedures, like washing a wound or maybe stitching a wound, you may have to do that without local anesthetics, because they don't have local anesthetics. And why don't they have local anesthetics? By the way, because of the siege and because the storage in Gaza before the attack was 40% of the essential drug list. They were already lower than half of the essential drug list. And I am told by very, very reliable sources, you know, all these trucks or these few trucks that come from El Arish, they are not driving from El Arish to Rafah. They are driving from El Arish and eastwards to Khmer Shalom. You know, the entry point at the Israeli point down south, where I'm told that Israelis are going through every box of relief and they take out what they don't want to get in. And they take out anesthetic drugs. Charming? Not. But they do what they can do. This fellow has a cut, and it's probably tended to without local anesthetics, and that's what it is. But no major operations without anesthesia. On the floor, sick, thirsty, anxious about your family, risk of being killed, and on top of all these problems in the hospitals, they have a daily threat of being bombed. And yesterday they bombed Rantisi Pediatric Cancer Hospital. They bombed the only psychiatric hospital in Gaza. And they bombed Nasser Acute Pediatric Hospital. And they have done that again today. This is the last report. These reports, they come about a day after, and they're based on the numbers from Minister of Health. This one was from the press conference today. And I know how the Palestinians are collecting the numbers. I'm a scientist, I'm a professor. I've used these numbers to do research. I know exactly how they collect the numbers. There's absolutely no reason to doubt the numbers. They are so precise that they are used in all the UN reports. They're even used by the US State Department. So why do they say that? Because the brutes, the colonized, the locals, they lie, and they can't count, and they can't mathematics, and they are, you know, subhumans. So that's another rumor. And when you ask Mr. Biden, to the extent that he can hear or think, you ask, so what is the proof you have that these numbers are false? Absolutely nothing. I heard it from the Israelis. When you ask the Israelis, can you come forward some proof that there is a command center in Shifa, that the Palestinians are operating without anesthesia, that the numbers are wrong? Mafish, huh? Kulo haram. They're just lying all the time. And the media picks it up. Every time I give an interview, I'm asked these three things. Is there a command center in Shifa? Are they using white phosphorus, the Israelis? And are these numbers false? And I say, why don't you stop asking me these stupid questions? Let's concentrate on the main issue. The killing of civilians, the massive abuse of power against the Palestinian people and the consequences of this. So these are the numbers from today. For the past 24 hours, 27 massacres, killing 241, the last 24 hours. 40% of the killed during the last 24 hours were from the south. This is very important because Israel has declared south of Wadi River safe place. Why don't you just go there and you'll be safe? Lies, lies, and more lies. 40% of the killed are killed south of Wadi. No safe place in Gaza. And the number of killed you have, if you have a pen, you have to correct this one. And here it is 9,485 killed. Now it is 10,569, including not 3,900, but now it's 4,324 children. Can you imagine 4,334 children? Can you imagine that in 4 weeks? That somebody killed that number of children in self-defense and get back-padded from the West and from the US in this massacre of children? This is historical. This is the worst we have seen. And among the killed were 1,006 families who were completely extinct. That has increased to, I don't have that number, but there are more than 1,000 families who have been massacred and completely extincted. This is just summing up how they are using the siege to make it impossible to run the hospitals. They still run the hospitals, make it impossible to bake bread. They still bake bread. They want, the goal of the Israeli politics is to eradicate the Palestinian people. It's the politics of elimination. It's an old colonial strategy. Kill the locals, take the land, and be the rulers. We did that, the Europeans, when we went to North America. We killed the Native Americans by slaughtering them down. They are now living in reservations. We've done it in Africa, we've done it in Arabia, we've done it all over the world. And still this colonial thinking prevails, and Israel is a colony of the US, of the United States, and it's supported by the United States as a colony. As a colony. And as a colony, it's going to absolutely kill the local people. I'll come back to that. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. There are so many numbers, there are so many pictures like this. And when you think that now it's enough, it can't get worse. Then they bomb a convoy of coordinated ambulances going to Rafah, coordinated with Egypt, informed to the ICRC, informed to the Israelis. I've been in these convoys during war. Had I been in Gaza now, I would probably have been in one of these ambulances, because one of my specialty is transportation medicine. They are driving out of the gate of Shifa, they turn to the right, down to the roundabout, and they're hit by rockets. One paramedic and one driver is seriously wounded. They turn around immediately to get to a safe spot, to Shifa, come into the gate of Shifa, and they're hit again. They're hit again. Smashed, killed, blood everywhere. Even a horse that was next to the ambulance was killed. Kill, kill, kill. The reason why they did it? Hamas ambulances. These were the International Red Cross ambulances. And people who opened the doors found women, children, and all the wounded had been coordinated with Egypt. The names, every one. And Egypt is not very fond of Hamas. So I think it was pretty true what the Palestinians said. I believe the Palestinians. These were patients evacuated to Egypt for treatment, killed in the ambulance in 2023. So this is the conclusion from today's report, where they are desperately calling on the United Nations, ICRC, to be present in the hospitals, to provide some sort of protection by just being there, and to provide a safe humanitarian corridor. I don't know where this will end, but I know for sure that if we do not do something, it will continue to worsen every day. And when I say we, I mean every one of us, everyone in Norway, everyone in the United States, every person now on earth has to make a stand and decide which side are you on, what are you going to do. It's all very well what you feel about it, but what are you going to do about it? That's the really important question. What are you going to do about it? Don't feel helpless. Everybody can do something. You know, it's the drop that hollows the stone. We are all drops. We can all hollow the stone. And if we stop believing in that, we become slaves of this colonial system. Who's next? Jordan? Egypt? Is the plan to push the Palestinians from Gaza into Sinai and push the Palestinians in the West Bank into Jordan? I think it is. I think with these new fascists in the government, and with the old Zionist plan from way back, long before 48, it is Eretz Israel, the land of Israel from the river to the sea. Nobody else should be there. Get rid of the Palestinians, the politics of elimination. So we are affected by this, all of us. And then we need this beautiful character, this beautiful quality of all of us, namely solidarity. And solidarity is not an act of charity. It is an act of unity between people who fight on different terrains towards the same goal. Equality, respect, humanity, love, and the basic human values that we all share. You in Jordan, me in Norway, all over the world, solidarity is needed in order to have this joint effort, this common value base. And this was said by Samora Machel, who was one of the champions of the anti-colonial struggle in Africa and the first president of Mozambique. So what is needed now, my friends? We need solidarity, we need activism, we need action, we need pressure on the powers. If it's your MP, if it's your your boss who is not allowing you to be active, anyone, and it is support, support, support for the Palestinians in Gaza. But first of all, we need to raise our voices and to shout a little bit. You can start shouting in the morning. You can shout Kulona Gaza before you get to your first coffee and you listen to Fairuz and you have cold water in your glass and you have a good day ahead of you. Think about what is going on to the west of you and think about what you can do. Okay. A little bit more on the situation. Are you okay? Are you getting angry? Are you getting angry? Tamam, okay? That's fine. If you think it's enough, I appreciate that. We had a vote. I will continue. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. Okay. Tamam, tamam. We will have question and answer afterwards. I have to say, I'm not opening. I respect you. I'm not opening a discussion, because when you say that we know all this, we have seen all this, you may have some sort of a crystal ball to look into. I don't have that. And I've been to Gaza for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this. Never, ever. Never, ever. And I will now touch on another thing that happened this afternoon when I had finished my talk with the Minister of Health. I got another call. These are 183 of the, until now, 193 killed health workers. Most of them. There are people, good nurses, good ambulance paramedics, good doctors, dentists, psychologists, having dedicated their lives to the protection of life and humankind. Having dedicated their youth to study, to be good doctors and medical staff for the Palestinian people in Gaza. Behind these numbers, there are people. One of my most, and I've been teaching medicine at Al-Azhar University, emergency medicine, for many years, and I have a lot of projects with the students, and I work together with the Palestinians. I'm not coming from the outside and doing my stuff on behalf of or instead of the Palestinians. I'm a solidarity worker. I'm not part of the relief industry. I stand on the side of the Palestinian people and their struggle, and I take instructions from them. The night 2 days ago, one of my dearest students, Maysara Al-Rayes, who finished medical school in Al-Azhar 5 years ago, he got this very, very prestigious scholarship to England. He went to UK, finished with great success. He came back. He was going to be specializing in pediatrics and women health. He was leader for the IFMSA, the International Federation of Medical Students in Gaza. He was a diligent, very efficient leader, and he was one of my very best friends. Here he's preparing a little baby for a resuscitation training, and here we have been to a meeting planning the project, which we have been so very fond of, namely training medical students in Gaza to be instructors, and then they go to the communities and to the refugee camps, and they train ordinary people life-saving first aid, like opening the airways, stopping the bleeding, doing CPR, and so on. It's been very successful. This is Maysara. This is one of our first trainings. This is Anas Ismail. He's also a very, very clever now doctor, also headhunted to headquarters in WHO in Geneva. And these are some of the medical student girls. And this is after we had one of our first trainings in a vocational school in Gaza, training the students how to do emergency or life-saving first aid. My Sarah was a gentle soul, careful, soft-spoken, diligent, always on time, always well prepared. We published together. We did research together. We were going to do so much more research. You can see her name here. It's Anas Ismail, Maisa Al-Rayes, Shati, Hanne, Gudio, and Mats. A beautiful group of international researchers and a very concrete way of medical solidarity. 2 nights ago, he went to his family's house. They tried to go to sleep under a concrete stairway to be shielded from whatever might come. And they were all killed when the Israelis bombed the family's house. My Sarah, his father, his mother, his 2 sisters, and one of them with her 3 kids. 8 members of the Maysara Al-Rayes family were killed in one bomb. So can we just have a moment of silence for Maysara? Because he's one of these thousands, he's one of these 193 killed. Yes, please, let's... We love you, Maysara. Rest in peace. Thank you. Thank you. Then, when I was sitting up in room 1004, I got a new message from Anas Ismail, the guy all to the left, who is in Geneva. I've taken out his name, but I got this message because 2 of Maysara's brothers, they were not in the house because they were out looking for food for the family. They survived. I got this message. They just killed his 2 brothers who were trying to get the bodies from under the rubble. And this is what it looked like. Can you turn up the sound? Can you turn up?
والله يا الله حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. ايش هذا؟ استهداف ولا ايش؟ يلا يا الله هات سيارات هات سيارات الشباب اللي بتشتغل يا الله يا الله. اصبر جيب شيالة. في معك شيالات اسعاف؟ معك شيالات؟ بشويش بشويش خدني استهدفوك بشكل مباشر؟ حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. لحق اهله ما هو الوحيد ضايل لاهله. والله هو الوحيد ضايل لاهله. هو الرئيس صح؟ الوحيد ضايل لاهله. في الشيالات. طيب راح يجيب. حاضر يا الله يا الله. والله لحق اهله وهم الوحيدين ضايلين لاهلهم. اقسم بالله لحقوا اهلهم. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. والله يا معلم ايش بتسوي؟ حسبي الله يا الله.
Mohammed Al-Rayes and Mahdi Al-Rayes, now 10 of the Al-Rayes family are killed. They were in the rubble to try to find the 8 members buried under the rubble. They were still hoping that some of them could be alive. And now they're all killed. I'd like to take the questions at the end. Can you please respect that? Thank you, brother. Shukran. Yeah, thank you. That's fine. So just to give you a little impression, no, not to give you a little impression, just to share with you how much pain there is. And I know that many of you have relatives in Gaza. Many of you are Palestinians. I deeply respect you and I sympathize with you, and you have my solidarity and my grief for the ones that you have lost. So now we need solidarity more than ever, and then we must not portray Gaza as only suffering. Because Gaza is siege, it's hard living, but Gaza is also resistance and survival. And nowhere do you see that better. This is from when the Palestinian people in Gaza did what the international community told them to do, namely to try peaceful protests or civil disobedience. That's the Great March of Return, as you all know, when they went to the fence every Friday, threw some stones, fired up some tires, were singing, had food festivals, and the Israeli snipers were lying in their hidden places on the other side, and they shot them by the thousands. And they didn't only shoot them to kill them, they shot them to maim them as much as possible. We have studied that. The Israelis are shooting, do you know where they shoot? They shoot to the knees, to the ankles, and to the elbows with their high precision rifles. And why do they do that? Because they want to make their life hard. They want to tell anybody who oppose the occupiers, we will punish you. We will not even kill you. We will just punish you and sentence you to a life as amputated. They tried that, it failed. So we switch a little now over to the 16 years of brutal siege, and I'll just sum up a little bit about what we know on the siege. You know the map, 2 ways in, Rafah, and it used to be Erez, no longer Erez. I traveled through both, and this has been under extreme siege for 16 years. I was there last time in June this year in June 23, and I was there in September last year, and I walked one day along the shore, the beautiful 45-kilometer white shoreline of Gaza. Could have been the most beautiful place on earth. And it is, it's been for the Palestinians. And I met these kids who were playing, and look at them. They have been born under siege. They've had 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks on their lives. And they are like children everywhere. They're happy, they're playful, they're friendly. They meet me with a smile, even when I'm white, and they try to survive. Gaza has been, before this happened, massive poverty, huge medical needs, education, because it's really destroying their education system. Gaza is also resilience, resistance, sword, solidarity, and hope. And bear in mind the age, the mean age, average age is 18 years, 65% is below 25, and that's probably the largest ever in history child ghetto. This is Amal and Abdullah Samouni. I met them in January 2009 when their father was killed and their little brother was killed during the Samouni massacre in Zaytun. Amal got 2 big Israeli shrapnels in her brain. They are still in her brain because it's not possible to remove it. And Abdullah got a bullet in his buttock. I visit them every time I go to Gaza. They are beautiful people. And last time I visited them, Amal had got married. I knew that. She has 2 children, these 2 boys. This is her mother, who lost her husband in 2009. This is Amal and her 2 sons. They are very dear to me, very close to my heart, and every time we sit down, we talk about what you talk about when you drink tea and drink coffee. We talk about life. And Amal said to me in June this year, life must go on. Life must go on. But they live under extreme hardship. No part of the civilian population is spared for the severe consequences of the current regime. And everything, and this is my point now, everything that happens now happens in a row, in a long line of well-documented, well-researched, well-understood abuse of power by the occupier. We have done research, we have written, we have studied, we have had conventions, we have published, we have been talking to politicians, we, all of us, all over the world. It has been known ever since 1946. Look at this. What did Gandhi, the old man, the good man, say in 1946? He said, "Why should Jews depend upon American money or British arms for forcing themselves on an unwelcome land? Why should they resort to terrorism to make good their forcible landing in Palestine?" Good words. Elegantly said, and still true, 2 years before Nakba. The world knew what was going to happen. Thinkers foresaw. Einstein said the same. We have been studying and publishing for many years. 2012, a paper, "The main cause of suffering in Gaza are the Israeli siege and the attacks," published in the European Journal of Public Health. The European Journal of Public Health. Peer-reviewed, well-documented, important paper. And they also say, in this paper, 2012, living condition under the siege imposed on the Gaza Strip continues to be a major cause of suffering for Gazans and prevent crucial needs from being fulfilled. Why didn't anybody react? Why hasn't anybody stopped Israel? Why is it that they, unlike all other governments and powers, have been able to perpetrate all these deeds, all these crimes against the Palestinian people? I'll come back to it. 2014, the massive attack, they killed 552 children and wounded 3,500. I was there. This is one of our patients. She's asleep. I've given her anesthesia. She's not dead. We documented that. I wrote a book called Night in Gaza. 2018, a big important report came out from Mazan, which is a human rights organization, about the Israeli systematic violation of Gaza's patients' rights. You can read yourself. 2018. We can stack the reports up. Just from the last 2008 attack with the Goldstone report and all the others coming. Overwhelming reporting. The World Bank. And this is another report from 2021 from OCHA. The problems related to displacement and protection of civilians, and the problems related to lack of access to basic services, water, food, sanitation, protection. And look at the group that is mostly affected by these very critical, important security networks in society, the children of Gaza. And in addition to that, 1 in 5, 20% of the amputated in Gaza are children. Shouldn't we repeat this knowledge and learn it by heart whenever we argument? Because we have been too slow, we have been too accepting. We have maybe read one report and one paper, and then we saw a television report on Al Jazeera, but we have not been hardworking enough to understand what Israeli colonialism is all about. It's not about Hamas. It's not about the armed struggle of Palestine. It is about a plan, a big plan, to colonize Palestine, to get rid of the Palestinian people, to slaughter them or chase them away or starve them to death with the support of US, and establish the Zionist dream, Eretz Israel. And it's all reported. It's all reported. 15 years of siege and attacks. This report from Al-Mizan Center of Human Rights, 2022. We can look at the numbers. 5,500 killed from 2007 to 22. 10,000 injured. And, well, read it yourself. Read it yourself. How massive the destruction has been over these years. Attacking the fishermen, the fishing fleet. You know, fishing and the ocean is the most important part of the Palestinian food basket in Gaza. Farming, also important. They have killed 136 farmers, and they have destroyed more than 33,000 dunams of Palestinian farmlands. And they've stolen the land because of the security zone that they have established along the fence. It's been systematic, all the way. Push, push, push the Palestinians. Could anybody imagine that you would be 18 years old and live in poverty, unemployed, and being harassed by racists who kick your ass every time you try to go somewhere, who tells your father to bow down on his knees when he's going to work in the West Bank, who bombs your home again and again and again, who insults your women, kills your children? Had I been 18 in Gaza, I know where I would have been. I would have been a feda'in. I would have been a fighter. So the colonialist goal, Israel's goal, it is no civilian Palestinian society shall exist, it shall be eliminated. I think we need to understand this, because all this stupid talk about revenge and retaliation and defense, your right to defend yourself, I mean, we cut through that crap. What we must understand is what we see now for our eyes, in my opinion, is the Israeli machinery, killing machinery, not only killing Palestinians, of course, not first and foremost fighting man to, you know, the Palestinian soldiers. No, no, killing civilians by and large. But they also have the goal to erase any sign of Palestinian infrastructure. Hospitals, schools, museums, municipality buildings, anything that is Palestinian, that can sort of glue the Palestinians to their land, to their life in their land. And the Israelis are still pissed because the Palestinians have Makasset Hospital, Makasset Hospital, Augusta Victoria Hospital, and the other hospitals in the West Bank, because they are Palestinian institutions. Why should they bomb Shifa, Al-Aqsa, Al-Quds, Mustashfa al-Ahli Arab? Why should they bomb them? Because they lose a lot of, you know, opinion. It's a huge fall for their reputation. Because hospitals are an important part of human civilization, of the structure in society. I was, by the way, I had an audience with the Queen today. It was very nice. We had a very nice talk. I really so much respect for the Queen. I admire her outspokenness and her solidarity. She's an example. I saw the Jordanian hospitals, beautiful hospitals. Part of the safety net for you living in Amman. Good doctors, light, water, food, medicines, everything you need when and if somebody of your loved ones gets a stroke, falls in the basement and breaks a leg, or is getting really sick or injured. So hospitals are an important part of the glue that keeps a society together. And Israel has a plan, I'm sure. They want to erase the hospitals from Gaza. They want to smolder them, bomb them, and flatten it all. You see how they move in with the bulldozers? I mean, literally, they're flattening the land. Are they going to... I don't know what they're going to do. Make parking lots? Probably not. They're going to take it. They're going to take it. So that's the plan. It is to eliminate all Palestinian structures. And of course, as a doctor, I cannot avoid talking a little bit about the medical effects on the siege and all these military attacks. These are some of the beautiful kids that I meet when I go to Gaza. All the pictures, by the way, I've taken them myself, and I had the permission to use them. But these kids in Gaza, before this happened, before 4 weeks ago, these kids will live 9 years shorter than the kids on the other side of the fence in Israel. Why is that? Because their immune system or their intestinal system or their brains or their breathing system is inferior to the Israeli children? Of course not. It's a reflection of the living conditions. And look at this one. This is from WHO. If you look at life expectancy, it's 74 in occupied Palestinian territory, OPT. It's 82 in Israel, 9 years shorter in occupied Palestine. If you look at infant mortality, it's 4 times higher in Palestine than in Israel. If you look at under 5 mortality, 3.5 times higher in Palestine than in Israel. And if you look at maternal mortality, women who died during delivery and the first week after, 9 times higher in Palestine. These are apartheid numbers. This is the mathematics of apartheid. This is the mathematics of keeping people apart when it comes to access to freedom, to healthcare, to water, to food, to safe living conditions. And these numbers are known to all the world leaders. They have known them for years. They have been informed by their health ministers and whoever, and they have seen with their own eyes the settler colonial politics of Israel. Day by day, expanding the settlements, expanding the occupation, and turning on more and more brutal apartheid in everyday life. So they know all of this. All of this is known, reported, researched, documented. Why is it happening? What happens? Why is it happening? What's happening this week, these 4 weeks? I think the reason is pretty obvious. It is one simple answer, and that is the Israeli impunity. If you have a really badass guy in your street, and he gets a bat, and he goes to the studio and starts to be very strong, and he starts to beat up people in the street. Nobody dares touch him. He beats up more people. Nobody stops him. Police, they don't want to touch him. He gets a few friends, and they make a gang, a band, a really badass band. And this will never stop until they are stopped and held accountable and taken to court and punished. Israel has never, ever been held accountable by the international community. They have never been taken to the International Criminal Court. They have never been confronted with their war crimes by the US. They have been going on with more and more violent attacks on the Palestinians, more and more abuse of power, more and more military violence against the young people in the West Bank, and more attacks on Gaza. The result we see this 4 weeks. The Israeli impunity from international laws, rights, Geneva and Hague Conventions, from ICC and from just plain human respect and dignity, is a threat to us all. The result is what we see now. And now even the United States has a big problem, because their leech dog, the pit bull with rabies, has cut the leech and is running crazy in Gaza. And even if they pay some lip service to us that, we have to try to give some humanitarian help, there is obviously no control over Israel now. And I think the United States, they have lost control. So Israeli impunity, I think, is at the core of understanding why what is happening now is actually happening. And I'm sick and tired of this, and I'm sick and tired of people saying that this is a difficult conflict. This is not a difficult conflict. This is a difficult occupation, full stop. That's what it is. Can you do 2 hours more? I didn't travel all the way to Mari. Hurry up. Hurry up. Mari slaps me and says, hurry up. I will hurry up. The bombings, the bombings, the bombings. This is what it looks like in Shifa when we are working. This is from the attack in 2019. This is just how it looks. This is how we're working together when there is multi-trauma coming in. One by one, not like the 1,000 now. You have a team, you have anesthesia, you have nurses, you have scrubs, you have everything you need. It's very hectic, very intense. You take away the damaged limb, you amputate, you amputate, you amputate, you amputate, not without anesthesia, and you try to stop the bleeding all the time. But the most important health issue in Palestine is the occupation. It's not the lack of equipment, it's not the lack of hospitals, it is the occupation. Take one example, the Gaza cancer crisis. You know, in Gaza, it was a 100% avoidable cancer crisis. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in Gaza. High mortality, very low survival. And cancer patients, they die in Gaza waiting for Israeli approval to exit Gaza. There are 700 who could have been saved annually, and cancer will double, and they don't have radiation therapy. This is the Rantisi Hospital, which was built up as a pediatric hospital for cancer patients, cancer kids, by the Palestine Children Relief Foundation. So this is the Rantisi Hospital, beautiful ward with very new, very well equipped, high standard. And then the Palestinians said, well, we don't have a cancer hospital, so let us take the Turkish Friendship Hospital in the middle, which was not used, and convert that and make that the Gaza Cancer Center. And so they did. And I've been working here for the last 3 years because we had a big plan. We were going to have radiation therapy in Gaza in this hospital. We got $10 million from the World Bank, we got $5 million from the Arab Investment Bank, and we got $5 million from the Norwegian government. And we were going to put the spade in the earth this fall. What did the Israelis do with this beautiful hospital? They bombed it. No cancer treatment for adults in Gaza. 10,000 cancer patients. What did they do with this Rantisi Pediatric Cancer Hospital? They bombed it. Bombed it twice, the day before yesterday and today, I believe. So this is what they do. And Gaza has no radiation therapy for its patients, and now they have no therapy at all. So now I will follow the orders from Mari, and I will go to the end. Is that okay, Mari? Am I allowed to end? To finish off? Permitted? Huh? People want to speak. Tamam. Okay. I wanted to tell you the story of 3 of my darlings and their way through the whatever happened after they were injured. These 4 kids, and I will leave that for next time, and I will go to the conclusion. Mari, you have to talk. You have to talk to your crowd, your guests. Or who wants to hear the story of the children? I love democracy. I love democracy. Okay. Yalla habibi, yalla. Fadla. Okay. Imagine you met one of these. Samar, Amal, Abdallah, Jumana. I met them in 2009. In Shifa, during Operation Cast Lead. This was the massacre of Saitoun, you know, The big clan, the Samuni clan, they all gathered in a warehouse because the ground invasion came with the tanks. They were stuck in this big warehouse, hundreds of people, and after 2 days of siege from the Israelis, the father of Amal took a white flag. He made a white flag from a T-shirt, took his son, who was 4 years, went out of the warehouse and shouted to the Israeli soldiers in Hebrew, "We are all civilians, men and women, children, please, we need water, please let us out." He was shot in the head, killed on the spot. They shot his son in the chest, he bled out and died. And then they bombed the whole house, the warehouse, with all the people inside. All the people inside. 48 were killed inside that massacre, and it was horrible. Many of the Samuni people lost kids and fathers and mothers. During that week, 3 kids came to Shifa. Amal, who came from Saitoun, Jumana, who came from Saitoun, and Samar, who came from Abdrabu. Abdrabu is a small farmer community, probably not existing anymore. It is between Erez and Gaza City, to the west of Beit Lahia. They came in. Amal was almost dead because she was buried in that house for 3 days after they had bombed it, until her brother found her. Samar, we will see what happened to her, and Jumana was also in the bombed house. Amal came to Shifa with her brother. He was furious. He had been digging in the ground for 2 days, or after 2 days, because the Israelis allowed no rescue efforts in the bombed house with all these people. He found his little sister, and he came to us. I was sure that Amal would die. She was extremely dehydrated. She could not speak. She had been lying under this rubble for almost 3 days, listening to the screams of the wounded and smell the decaying body of the killed, her father, next to her. But we rehydrated her, and she had a wound in the head, which we didn't pay too much attention to, but we were focusing on getting her to survive and give her fluids and warm her up. Samar was 4 years. She came alone, no parents. I asked what has happened. They didn't know. Some of the ambulance paramedics said there was an Israeli tank in the neighborhood, and there had been attacks on this family's house. She was very quiet. She looked with these beautiful eyes around, and she didn't move. She was very quiet, and I wondered, and I asked, what is wrong? And they said, we have to examine her. Jumana came with another ambulance, and she had a smashed left hand. Her father was also killed. Nobody knew where her mother was. I tended to her after anesthesia, during anesthesia and afterwards. The surgeons had to amputate 3 out of 5 fingers on her left hand. So they had head, spine, and hand injuries. Amal, it turned out, had 2 shrapnels in her brain. Samar had been shot in the back, by the Israeli soldiers on that tank. And a British BBC journalist actually followed up that story and documented it in a documentary. The tank, Khaled, her father, Samar's father was Khaled. He said when he was interviewed by BBC, the tank came to our house, shouted we had to get out. I came out with my wife, my grandmother, and my 3 children, waving a white flag. Soldier jumped down from the tank with his M16 rifle. The others were sitting on the tank eating chocolate and chips. He started shooting at us when we stood at the doorstep, about the distance from here down to the door. They killed the 2 children, and they shot Samar in the back. When we turned her to the side, we could actually see her spine, and we understood why she didn't weep, because her spinal cord had been cut off, so she was paralyzed from the nipples and down. And Jumana had been crushed and had this crush injury and was amputated. So Samar was paralyzed. This is a reconstruction, and of course this injury is very, very serious and grave. We took her to the operating room and we tried to release the vertebra so that we could have some function, but the spinal cord was completely destroyed. When she woke up, I went, of course, to see her, as I do with all my patients after anesthesia. She was still alone, and she was, I'm not going to show you the video, but she was weeping. And the only thing she said all the time was, "Mama, Mama, Mama." Jumana woke up at midnight. I went to see her. She looked at me. These two eyes, these two glances, these two kids' eyes have been following me the rest of my life. Because they looked at me and they said in their eyes, they said, "Why is this happening to us? Who did this? What is going on?" Samar, with a shot in the back, was evacuated to Brussels. I went there to see her. I've been there sometimes, and I met her and her father and mother. Khaled, who is a janitor, a refugee. Her mother, very hardworking, and they have had a few more babies. And this is Samar now. Beautiful, thinking, speaks fluently French, paralyzed from here and down. We talked a lot. She's sort of a replacement mother for a mother who was extremely exhausted. She took very well care of her siblings. And she will be in the wheelchair for the rest of her life. Nobody held accountable. Nobody held accountable. And she is my responsibility, and she's your responsibility. I met her again when she was growing up. I went together with her to a conference in Ostende. Now she's a young girl in the wheelchair. She's giving political speeches. She talks about occupation and colonization. And last year she finally could go back to Gaza and enjoy a nice time with her family in Abd Rabu, which probably doesn't exist anymore. Samar Abd Rabu, my dear. Jumana grew up missing a father and most of her left hand. Her mother, Maisara, was 18 when she was widowed. Maisara, yeah. And this is her hand. This is Amal, her cousin, looking at it, and they wonder if we could transplant it in Norway. We could not. But also Jumana grew up in the caring and loving company of her family. This is grandmother, this is her mother, and this is her little cousin. And we meet every time I am in Gaza. She wants to be a teacher, she works hard at school, she's a beautiful human being. And after 2009, she has had four attacks on her life. Now this is the fifth. And I wonder how it feels to be these children these weeks. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And these killers are let loose again with nobody stopping them. We have to take responsibility, my friends. Brothers and sisters, we have to do something. Imagine these were our kids. And some evil power was allowed to do this again and again and again and again. He's a clerk in the mosque, well-read, a beautiful discussant. Grandmother, I love her. This is her cousin. And my dearest Jumana. Amal and Abdallah Samuni. She was the one who was found in the rubble. Abdallah was not so seriously injured, but when I was there and visited them in Saitoun, I go there every time. As I said, she said, I still have a lot of headache, and I nosebleed, and we have to do something about my head, she said. And so we went to Shifa and we took CT, and it turned out that she had these 2 shrapnels. Abdullah said, I can't do my homework. I have so much pain in my ass, Dr. Mats, when I'm sitting. I don't know what it is. My mother doesn't care much. She says, I'm only complaining. Okay, we'll take you to X-ray too. So we did, and we all went to the hospital. This is the whole sibling family with ice in Gaza, in Arabic, by the way. We did the CT, and guess what? In her right brain, there is this shrapnel, signed off by the Israeli attack army, and in her left brain there is this probably a fragment of a bullet. We can't remove it because the location is too difficult. So she remains with 2 painful bullets in her head. Abdullah, he was right. He had a bullet in his ass. We took it out in local anesthesia, and this is the bullet, and he got it, and he still has it. He goes it like this. Amal grew up, 18, engaged, mother very proud. She marries, Abdullah marries, and now Amal is the proud mother of 2. And in their living room, in their sitting room, I'm sorry, where we always have tea and talk for hours, there is, of course, always the picture of the brave father who said, "Let us out, please, we are civilians, we need water," was shot with his son, who was shot in the chest and not allowed medical help and bled to death. These things are not forgotten by those who experienced it, but it is forgotten by those who were responsible. So Amal, January 2009, August 2009, further on she grows up with the family, with all the love that you can get from your family and from your local social network. She develops beautifully, and she says, life must go on. I have not been able to contact them. I fear that they are killed. I fear that they are killed. This was September last year. I was there in June this year, and we had a wonderful time. And I've tried to understand what are the surviving factors that makes these people survive with all this tenderness and beauty. And I think it is some very simple, important factors. It's the faith. It's Islam, no doubt. It is the Palestinian sumud, you know, the steadfastness. We will not give up. We will not leave our country. We will rather die than live as slaves. My medical students, they say that. Karima Tuman, one of the best oud players in Palestine, poet, writer, brilliant doctor. She says, Dr. Mats, I don't support Hamas, but I support Hamas 100%. And I say, why? And she says, because they and Shihad, they are the only ones defending us. Nobody else is defending us. And we are praise to the occupiers. It is the homeland, the struggle for the free Palestine, which is worth everything on earth. It is not being alone. It is solidarity and support that we all can provide. Nelson Mandela said in his young age, he said, no power on earth can stop an oppressed people determined to win their freedom. History punishes those who resort to force and fraud to suppress the claims and legitimacy, the legitimate aspiration of the majority of the country's citizens. Government violence can do only one thing, and that is breed counter-violence. And I repeat, I don't pity the Palestinian people. I respect them and I support them. My solidarity is because they are fighting for the same values that I am fighting for. Equality, freedom, justice, and humanity. And these are the values that are at stake today. So, my friends, what is needed? Solidarity, not only service, activism. Learn from all the good stuff you have done in Jordan and in Amman. You have had BDS, you have been very active. Be more active. Do what the Queen does. Speak out. Find a microphone. Find a microphone. Say that you support Palestine. Say that you want an end to Israeli impunity. That's activism. Not just sitting in the home and doing. Find out how you cannot be alone. Organize. Find some other, the neighbors, family, friends, students, people at the workplace. Be organized. Don't be alone. We feel so weak and helpless when we are alone watching the news that we just want to turn off and look at some stupid movie and go to bed and cry. Don't be alone. Get together, be strong, and support Gaza and support Palestine. Kulona Gaza, Kulona Palestine, Kulona Palestine, Kulona Palestine, and Shukran Iktir. Shukran Iktir. Shukran. Shukran. And don't forget this one. Take it home. Pinch it on your fridge. Teach your kids. Show your husband and your wife. Read it. Know the numbers by heart. Thank you. Are you going to be the organizer, Mary?
طيب مساء الخير كمان مرة وشكرا لكل حدا موجود معنا. هلا رح ناخذ أسئلة وبليز تكون أسئلة سريعة ومختصرة لضيق الوقت. فرح نبلش هلا بالأسئلة من عند ماري.
بدنا نبلش مع الدكتور.
Dr. Hans Gilbert. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Ziad. I'm the president of the Jordan Medical Association. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is a picture for you and Dr. Walid Masoud.
ما شاء الله حبيبي فدايا شكرا. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please.
أنا بس بدي أحكي قصتين خلال دقيقتين. عام 2000 اجتني مريضة من غزة عندها ورم في العمود الفقري. قلت لها لازم نعمل جراحة. سألتني سؤال واحد، ما سألت عن المضاعفات ولا عن أي شيء. بقدر أرجع أخلف؟ قلت لها كم ولد عندك؟ قالت 4. قلت لها طب بكفي؟ قالت 4 هذول لفلسطين و4 بدي إلي. أيام الانتفاضة جانا مجموعة من جرحى الانتفاضة 2005. ولد صغير عمره 8 سنوات بسأله كيف وقعت؟ كيف انكسرت؟ كيف عنده كسر كان بالساق؟ قال لي ولا شيء، أنا شايل حجر وطلعت على الدبابة لفوق، فتحت الباب وضربت العسكري، دفشني وقعت انكسرت. قلت له طيب يعني لا شوف الجرأة يعني. بعدين بقول له طيب احنا بدنا نعمل لك كذا وكذا. قال لي ما تسألني امتى بقدر ارجع وارمي حجار. هذا السؤال. زي هذه بدها تخلف 4 لفلسطين زي ما 4 عندها، وولد زي هذا الشعب لن يقهر اطلاقا. شكرا للدكتور جيلبرت اللي بالمناسبة انا امبارح كنت في القاهرة، كان في اجتماع مع نقيب أطباء مصر ورئيس الهلال الأحمر مشان نناقش كيفية إرسال وفود طبية إلى غزة وتأسيس مستشفيات ميدانية داخل القطاع، واتفقنا على اتفاق مشترك التعاون. وإحنا جالسين حكت صحفية مصرية اسمها جيلان وقالت في الدكتور جيلبرت بدي يجي على القاهرة ويجتمع مع النقيب وكذا، وبقول لك لازم تدبر له طريقة يروح على غزة. فيعني تحية له، تحية لكفاحه السابق والقادم، ونتمنى النصر لكل فلسطين. شكرا.
شكرا 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 حبيبي. I have to tell you that thank you for all your efforts and the Queen today confirmed what I read yesterday, that the Jordanian Air Force had been flying in over Gaza and dropped medical supplies close to the Jordanian hospital. That's very brave. That's very brave. They could have been shot down. They could have been shot down. And she said that her husband actually wanted to go with the plane. Now, I made an agreement with the Queen that with the next plane I will go and I will jump in parachutes to go to Gaza. Tamam?
أنا بس في النهاية بدي أشكر المناضل الإماري ويعني لاند مارك على الاستضافة وعلى هاي المحاضرة اللي أنعشت قلوبنا فعلا. شكرا جزيلا.
Hi everyone, my name is Samar Saeed. I'm a PhD candidate and I'm here to propose 2 calls to action that we can all do. I know that everything that we do feels useless or pointless in the face of this violence, but I insist that we all can do something in this moment and in the future. So the first call to action is I'm inviting you all to join an electronic action group. And this is a collective effort where a group of people are sending targeted emails to media officials and media outlets and government officials to hold them accountable on their position and stance on Palestine. We're also sending targeted emails to groups and organizations who actually spoke up and stood with Palestinian liberation and showed up for us. We're sending them email to encourage them and support them. So if you're interested in joining this effort, please send an email titled Electronic Action Group to the email where you RSVP'd, madsinamman@gmail. This is really important because I know some of you have seen how Israelis had targeted a lot of organizations and groups, asking them to vocally state their support with Israel, and they intimidated some and they tried to bribe some. And we could do so much better than that. Our cause is just, and our cause for liberation is just, and we need everyone to know our stance on Palestine. The second call of action is basically targeted to 16, 17, and 18 years old. And a group of us are planning an educational summer program for them to prep them before they go to college abroad. So what we're doing in this summer camp is basically teaching them the history of Palestine, educating them on Zionist narratives and how they can challenge them and debunk them in the classroom and outside. We're actually also going to teach them how to organize on campus by building alliances with different student activist groups, and so that they can protect themselves and connect our struggle to other global struggles around the world. And if you're interested in joining this effort, or if you have children who are of that age group, please send an email as well with the prep summer program, and we will email you all the information related to both action and Free Palestine.
So it's the same email address, you guys, for both things. Just email us. Just so you know what we're doing calls to action first, and then we're going to do Q&A. Hanan, ready? Yalla. Okay. Dr. Tahboub.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. My name is Dr. Tariq Tahboub. I'm an ex-chairman of Jordan Medical Council and ex-chairman of Palmid Europe. I met Mads in 2009 at Shifa, and I presented with him the Palestinian cause at Brussels Human Rights Commission in 2012. To summarize, what's Gaza about? They have invented a new medical term, which is ICWSF. That's an injured child without a surviving family. Imagine that. That's a new term coined in medical vocabulary. ICWSF, injured child without a surviving family. That's the truth about these civilized, clever bombs and intelligent, precise bombing of Gaza. The second thing, you have 5 Ds to go from here with. Activism means donate, demonstrate. Every march you must join and display. All the social media, cover it. People who speak English must spend 2 hours a day talking to people around the world. It's now a small village. The world is a small village. Fourth, demand right to your MPs, to your king, to your governments, to members of Congress, to members of Parliament. Tell them that if there is no justice, there will be no peace, no justice, no peace, and make dua for these people in Gaza. Sadai will never stop, and if he is parachuting, I'm jumping on the same parachute to Gaza. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, alaikum salam, Habibi.
Hello everyone, my name is Hanan. The occupation's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, and I quote, "The boycott movement is a strategic threat. It takes us to new battlefields, to all labor syndicates, churches, universities, and all scientific conferences and museums and art exhibitions. Every Israeli activity is targeted." As we all know, boycotts have proven to be a very effective pressure tool against governments and enterprises complicit in oppression and human rights violations. Colonialism for the colonizers, after all, is all about eating up resources and making money, no? This political isolation tactic has not only been deployed in apartheid South Africa, but also in Palestine since the 1920s, against the British mandate and Zionist invasion. Today, as the calls for boycotting the last settler colonial state echo across the globe during these difficult times of genocide perpetrated against our brothers and sisters in Palestine, I want to leave you with 3 key strategic elements of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, BDS. While we have seen many boycott calls that are very encompassing, and some may have exhaustive lists, our strategy deploys targeted campaigns against companies with proven complicity and are making millions of dollars in profiting off violating Palestinian human rights. We have been organizing in BDS Jordan since 2014, and these campaigns are sustainable and have over time proven to be effective. Once we start a campaign, we press hard collectively on a global level until complete divestment from the occupation and its system of apartheid is achieved. Okay. So while these restaurants at the top have jumped and raced to provide support for the IDF genocidal army, they should know there's a price to that through boycotts. But I want to highlight at the bottom, these BDS campaigns that have been active since before October 7th. For these companies and enterprises such as Carrefour, HP, and Puma have been heavily intertwined and invested in the occupation, and we must now more than ever unite our forces and amplify the boycott against them. 2, we adopt and encourage you all to adopt a culture and lifestyle of isolating the colonial settler state. And as the act of boycotting becomes our lifestyle, we also become more conscious consumers and support our local products. And we encourage a firm stance against any and all normalization efforts of this colonial state wherever you encounter them. However, whichever field, whichever context, it should never be normalized. Please scan these QR codes and follow our pages and websites to stay informed and get involved in all our ongoing campaigns. And last, I urge you to keep boycotting even after the guns are silent. That's what we owe our people, and that's the only way we can ensure it has a long-lasting impact. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Arij. Very quickly, after they cut off the internet connections in Gaza, I started working with a group of volunteers and a company, a startup in Dubai called Simly app that provides eSIM cards. And we've been able to get these into Gaza. We've already distributed around 500 eSIMs to different people on the ground. Simly was able to get donations in the amount of $70,000 within 48 hours. They've actually stopped taking donations at this point because we need to get the gigabytes out that we've already collected. So my call to you is, if you know anyone in Gaza who needs a number, please contact me. Mary, can we use your email at this point? So please do the same email, Dr. Mads and Amman at Gmail. Please send their contact information. We will get the SIM cards to them. We know they work. Again, we've sent out more than 500 SIM cards so far. So we need to keep them connected just in case they cut off the connections again. Thank you, Mary. It's a QR code that we send to their phones. They scan it, and then they're able to get to connect to international numbers.
Yes.
Anyone.
Are we ready for the questions? Yeah?
Thank you.
So I'm on stage now. Yeah.
Well, Professor Mad, Well, I can't barely stand near you because I haven't been able to do as much as you have. I'm a Palestinian, and I think you've proved to be more Palestinian than me. And I thank you wholeheartedly. Collectively, with all the arts that are here and that are outside, we really honestly thank you. I have one question. You've spoken too much about Palestinians and their suffering. I have one question. Have you been harassed or have you suffered suffering by the Israelis because of your actions, because of your support for Palestine?
Thank you for the question, sister. Do we have sound? Yes. That's absolutely uninteresting. I mean, I don't care. So why should we discuss that when Gaza is Gaza? I appreciate your question. I've never been harassed. I never let myself be harassed. I'm Palestinian. Nobody steps on me.
Hi, Dr. Mads. My name is Janan, and I'd like to thank you so much for today. You've given us so much hope, and you've driven our anger towards action, which is exactly what we needed. My question to you is, seeing as all the situation in Gaza, the hygiene, the sanitary situations, is there a chance, or are we leading to an outbreak of any sort of disease or medical catastrophe in terms of any sort of disease that can be born out of this situation?
You're asking me if the sanitary situation could cause diseases in Gaza? Tamam?
Seeing as it is continuing to become worse and worse.
It's an impeding public health disaster in Gaza now. There will be hepatitis, there will be gastrointestinal infections, there will be a lot of fecal-oral contamination because of the lack of water. In one of the UNRWA schools in the southern parts, which is sheltering displaced Palestinians inside Gaza, there were 14,000 displaced per toilet. They had 2 toilets for 28,000. So you can imagine yourselves, there is going to be a lot of epidemic diseases, and We might see the spread of cholera and dysentery already, so yes. And it's all calculated. That's you know, I used to say, if you look at the recent earthquake in Turkey, less than 24 hours after, there are tents, there are trucks, there are sniffing dogs from all over the world, there is food, there is water, there is blankets, there is everything of the good heart that comes to the assistance. Because that's how we want the international community to be. If they are Muslims or Christians or Hindu or whatever they are, we are humans. So if you look at the pictures from Gaza now, it looks like an earthquake. But there is absolutely no international presence. Why is that? What is it about the Palestinians? It is this picture created by Israel that the Palestinians are subhuman and that they don't deserve to be helped. But the good thing is that nobody believes Israel. Nobody believes Israel anymore. After this, nobody will ever believe Israel. I think they are walking backwards off the cliff now. Israel, because what they have done now is never to be forgiven, never to be forgotten, and it is galvanizing us as activists, as fierce fighters for good connections between people, fierce fighters against apartheid and racism, and we are fierce fighters who will not give up, and we will not forget that the South African people managed to throw apartheid on the ditches of history. They did that, and they were the first country 2 days ago to recall their ambassador from Tel Aviv back to South Africa. So it may take time. It may take more losses. It may take a hard struggle and a lot of work from all of us. And I love the presentations we've heard. But it will, at the end of the day, it will be Gaza hatta Nasser. Gaza hatta Nasser, Palestine hatta Nasser, Kullu hatta Nasser.
Okay.
You have to ask Mary, she's the boss.
Here, it's on?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm a bit shy.
Any microphone for the lady?
Yeah, here, I have a question. I'm from the EU, so you do have allies elsewhere. But I was just wondering, you know, you've seen 500K protesters in London. You've seen 300K in DC. You've seen 60K people gather in Paris, even though it's been banned. Now you're seeing dock workers refusing to load ships in Barcelona that are holding arms. You're seeing protesters in the port of Tacoma in America blocking loading arms. I've been to protests. I've been active on social media. My question, I guess, for you is, what else can we do? We're writing our politicians. We're going out there. We're absolutely doing everything we can, and it's really frustrating. Personally, also, you feel a sense of risk of your job. I work at an American company. There are people with little Israeli flags on their Slack channel names, and it's this kind of dark, I don't know how to explain it, but there are people getting fired even in the EU and America for standing with what's right, in my opinion. So what do you suggest? What more can we do in the West, West being America and the EU? It's because it's very frustrating. Our governments are obviously not speaking for us. You can see that with all the gatherings. So that's my question for you.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. I don't have answers to all questions. I'm not an oracle. I am just a normal, very simple Norwegian doctor. But I think the most important thing is not to be fearful. It's not to be fearful that somebody, you know, you lose your job or somebody's speaking badly to you or you're sort of intimidated. I think that's what they play on. It's fear. Fear is one of their strongest weapons. Fear is the way they make us feel small, divided. You're Irish. Tamam. Yeah, wow. Yay. So, But you can bring back the struggle. I mean, go to your own history. Go to your own history. The struggle is long and hard. Don't have any illusion that the struggle and the fight against evil is easy and quick. It never was. It never was. The dark times we are in now will demand of us patience, sumud, and courage. If we yield to these forces now, the world will be changing. I'm sure. So we have to be courageous, we have to be patient, and we have to find the small steps that fit into every one of us. What do? I travel to Gaza. That's my inspiration. And I tell you what, this week, these 3 weeks have been incredibly difficult. I have had hard times getting up in the morning, not only because I give interviews to the US and Australia all night long, but because I have feared waking up and opening the phone and see that there are 42 WhatsApp messages from my brothers and sisters in Gaza. I fear every morning that the killings get worse. And I just want to lie down on the bed and weep all day. But I can't. I have to straighten up. And today, when I got the message from Dr. Yusuf Abu Rich, when he was so desperate, and the videos, and then I got the message from my brother Anas that the two brothers of my Sarah had also been killed, I didn't know how I should be able to stand here and talk to you. And then I thought, if the Palestinians can do it, I can do it. I just have to find some strength. And I did, and
بس إذا تحملتونا يا جماعة بدنا الأسئلة تكون صغيرة.
And then I met with you, and now I feel like I can fly, because you gave me strength, and that's all about coming together.
طيب رح ناخذ السؤال الثاني بس بليز الأسئلة تكون قصيرة ودايركت للبوينت. تمام؟ المايك معك، بعديها أنت مدام، بعدين غالية. تمام؟ تفضلي.
Dr. Mads Gilbert, thank you so much. We love you. We've been following you for years. You're a hero. I'm Jordanian of Gazan origin. I'm from Khan Yunis. Thank you. My father, a paternal uncle, paternal aunt, and my paternal uncles and aunts from my maternal uncles